Hello, grade 7 learners. Welcome to my Zone Online School. My name is Pietres Futto, and then together with me here, I am joined by Pomona. Let's welcome Pomona. Let's sanitize our hands, and then we maintain the social distance. Okay. Science, grade 7, lesson 3, sexuality and sexual health, STDs, HIV, and AIDS. Okay, grade 7 learners, let's all turn to page 22. First of all, we are going to look at our basic competence for today. The first basic competence says that a learner in grade 7 must be able to describe different ways of showing affections that are safe. And then the second one says that a learner must be able to describe sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, in terms of transmission, preventions, and then the consequence. And then it says that a learner must be able to explain what HIV is. And then the next one says that explain how HIV is transmitted, and then name the body fluid that can be infected with HIV. And then the last one says that explain what HIV and AIDS are, how they attack and then destroy the body, and then that people with HIV usually don't show any sign or symptom, but they can still spread the disease. Okay, before we move on, we need to look at our keywords. The keywords are as follows. The first one says sexually transmitted diseases, STDs. These are the diseases that transmit from one person to another person through unprotected sexual intercourse. And then the second keyword, it says they are affection. Affection is a friendly or a loving feeling toward people around you. Thank you. Then, as it says, our first competence says, a learner in grade 7 must be able to describe different ways of showing affection that are safe. So the different ways of showing affection that are safe are as follows: by hugging, holding hands, shaking hands, walking arm in arm, having picnics, having fun together, kissing. But then as you are kissing, you must take some cautions, because it can be that the person that you are kissing is having some, if the person that you are kissing have an open lips, have an open cut on his or her lips, then that, and then you're also having an open cut on your lips, that might end up transmitting the virus. And then the last one, it says by giving presents. All of us, we know that, especially on the 14th of February, the day that we know as our Valentine's Day. Most of us, we give and then we receive presents from our loved one. As a result, that's also a way of showing affection to our friends. Okay, let's move on. The next thing, it says that we must be able to describe sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, in terms of transmission, prevention, and then consequence. So meaning that, first of all, we are going to look at how these STDs, they transmit. And then the second thing, we are going to look at how to prevent them from transmitting. And then the last thing, we are going to look at the consequence. But first of all, let's look at some examples of STDs. Examples of STDs are HIV and AIDS, the syphilis, the gonorrhea, the chancroids, and then the genital warts. Let's move on. Let's now look at how these diseases transmit. As it says, how can these diseases be transmitted or spread from one person to another person? These diseases can transmit or through exchanging of semen during sexual intercourse. Another way how they transmit through blood or vaginal fluid contact. Thank you. Let's move on again. Let's now look at how we can prevent the spreading of these diseases. As it says, how can the spreading of these diseases be prevented? So you can prevent the spreading of these diseases by avoiding the contact of body fluids such as blood, semen, vaginal fluids, and then many more. And then another way of preventing the spread of these diseases is by use of condoms all times during sexual intercourse, or to make it short, by condomizing. And then what are the consequences of getting these STDs? So the consequences are as illness, or to say they causes illness, causes death, causes blindness, risk of cancer in women, genital warts, and then it also results in the inability of having children, and then it also causes madness. Okay, then the next thing that we need to look at, it says that as a learner in grade 7, you must be able to explain what HIV is. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus, and it's a virus that causes the disease AIDS. Okay, then we are moving on to the next thing that you need to know today. Okay. We are moving on to page 24. On page 24, it says that you must be able to explain how HIV is transmitted and how HIV is transmitted and HIV can spread. Okay, let's make a change here. Where it's written, it says explain how HIV is transmitted and HIV can be spread quickly. I want all of us just to erase or to draw a line from and HIV can spread quickly from one person to another in the following ways. I want us to remove that one. Then you will just end where it says explain how HIV is transmitted. Then that will be right. So HIV is transmitted through sexual intercourse, or to be specific by saying HIV is transmitted through unprotected sexual intercourse. And then another way it says it is transmitted through blood contact, and then it is also transmitted from mother to child during birth. Then we are also required to know the body fluids that can be infected with HIV. The body fluids that can be infected with HIV, we speak of the semen, we speak about the vaginal fluids, or to say the discharges, we speak about the blood, and then we speak about the salivas. Those are the body fluids that can be infected with HIV. The next thing that you need to know in today's lesson is what is HIV and then AIDS. HIV is a human virus, while AIDS is a disease caused by HIV. And then HIV stands for Human Deficiency Virus, while AIDS stands for Acquired Immune Deficient Syndrome. Then the last thing that we need to look at today, it says that we must be able to explain how HIV and AIDS are attacked and then destroy the body, and then that people with HIV usually don't show any sign or symptom, but they can still spread the disease. Okay, how does HIV attack and then destroy the immune system? It says, when HIV or AIDS enters the body, it attacks the body's immune system, specifically the white blood cell. These white blood cells are the ones that protect our body from being infected by bacteria or viruses. However, when the white blood cells are attacked by HIV or AIDS, the body's immunity becomes weaker and then weaker. When the immunity becomes weak, the body will no longer be able to fight against illness. Therefore, different diseases such as TB will just pop in the body. That's how HIV and AIDS attack and then destroy the body. So in today's lesson, we have looked at different ways of showing affection that are safe. Then he said, okay, so in today's lesson, we have looked at different ways of showing affections that are safe. And then he said that different ways of showing affection that are safe, we speak about hugging, kissing, shaking hands, and then many more. So long as you make sure that the thing that you are doing, it's safe, it will not result in you getting some other STDs such as HIV and AIDS. Okay, and then we have also looked at what? Sexually transmitted diseases, or to say STDs, in terms of how they spread, how to prevent the spreading of these diseases, and then the consequences. And then he said, these STDs, they spread from one person to another person through body fluids, such as the semen, the vaginal fluids, and then others. They also spread through unprotected sexual intercourse. And then we have also looked at how to prevent the spreading of these STDs. We say that you can prevent the spreading of these STDs by avoiding the contact of body fluids. And then you have also said that you can prevent the spreading of these diseases by using a condom whenever we are involved in sexual intercourse. And then the next thing that we have looked at what is HIV. We say that HIV is a human virus that attack and then destroy the body's immune system. And then the next thing that we have looked at, we have looked at how HIV is transmitted, and then we have looked at the body fluids that can be infected by the virus. So we say that HIV is transmitted from one person to another person by means of what? Blood contact, from mother to child, during birth, and then through unprotected sexual intercourse. And then the last thing that we have looked at, we have looked at how HIV and AIDS attacks and then destroy the body's immune system. Then he said, once HIV and AIDS enters your body, it attacks and then destroys your body's immune system. Specifically what? Specifically the white blood cell. These are the cells that protect our bodies from being infected by different viruses and then many more. However, when these cells are then being what? When these cells are then being attacked, it means that our body's immune system will not be able to fight against different diseases. All right, Mr. Futo has prepared some questions for you here. And then let's all turn to page 25, where we will find our questions. As it's written there, activity 1, number 1. Describe different ways of showing affections that are safe. I think that all of us, you can answer this question. Number 2, describe sexually transmitted diseases, or to say STDs, in terms of transmission, prevention, and then the consequence thereof. And then number 3 says, explain what HIV is. The second last question says that explain how HIV is transmitted and then name the body fluids that can be infected with HIV. And then the last one says that explain what HIV and AIDS are, how they attack and then destroy the body. So I'm hoping that all of us will be able to answer these questions. But then if you happen to find out that you are struggling to answer 1 or 2 questions, please go through again. Thank you, and then have a blessed day. But then don't forget to sanitize your hand, and then you keep the social distance between you and then the next person. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Hi everyone, my name is Shoshi, and I am back. My mommy used to tell me that I need to wash my hands and sanitize it to keep the germs away. Also, one thing you can remember is to sing the alphabet song while you wash your hands. After that, it will be super clean. I usually do it. And until next time, bye!
Welcome to My Zone Online School. My name is Regan Liswaniso, and welcome my friend here. His name is Pomwene. Before we begin with today's lesson, I would like us to follow the COVID-19 rule regulations. First off, we start by sanitizing our hands. You rub the sanitizer in your palms, through your fingers, and on top. And do not forget to check the social distancing. Make sure that the person is at least 1 meter from you. Today's lesson is sexuality and sexual health, focusing on STDs, HIV, and AIDS. Okay, learners, let's turn to page 23. Let's start with today's competencies. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to explain that there is no cure yet for HIV/AIDS, but there are life-prolonging treatments. Discuss the myths and the taboos around HIV and AIDS. Some of the words that we are going to encounter today are taboo, which simply means a social or religious custom prohibiting or restricting a particular practice or forbidding association with particular person, place, or thing. And myths, a widely held but false belief or idea. Explain that there is no cure yet for HIV, but there are life-prolonging treatments. There is no cure yet for HIV, but there is medicine for life-prolonging treatments called antiretroviral, or simply known as ARVs, for treating HIV infections and to prevent it from becoming AIDS. Let's turn to page 24. Myths and taboos around HIV and AIDS. Discuss the myth and taboos around HIV and AIDS. There have been a lot of myths and taboos that spread about HIV and AIDS over the years. We need to be aware of these myths and taboos because wrong information is dangerous and can lead to further spreading of HIV and AIDS. For example, having sex with a virgin can cure HIV/AIDS. Having sex with a virgin cannot cure HIV and AIDS. HIV/AIDS turns your skin lighter. You can get HIV/AIDS by sharing utensils. HIV/AIDS patients are always thin. These are all false stories, but myths to mislead the nation, especially people that are easily convinced. Now let's look at some of the ways how HIV/AIDS can be transmitted. Unprotected sex. When you practice unprotected sex, you are at risk of contracting HIV because bodily fluids are being exchanged. Drug addicts. During the use of drugs, this affects your brain, it alters your judgment, and lowers your decision making. So you're most likely to engage in unprotected sexual intercourse or share needles that may contain blood. And we all know that HIV lives in the bodily fluids such as blood. Blood transfusion, mother to child transmission of HIV can be during pregnancy or at birth or through breastfeeding. Non-sterile instruments. How is HIV/AIDS not transmitted? One cannot contract or transmit HIV through touching, through sharing of food, or through kissing. Why is it not possible for someone to get HIV through kissing? Because HIV cannot live or cannot survive in salivas. Insect bites. This is also one way on how HIV cannot be transmitted, because insects do not have receptors and cannot get infected by HIV. Therefore, they cannot transmit HIV virus because it's digested in their stomach. Or simply by taking a swim in the pool with someone, you cannot get HIV/AIDS. Let's turn to page 25 for our self-assessment. Discuss the myth and taboos around HIV and AIDS. Remember to sanitize your hands. Again, rub through your palm, on top of your hand, and through your fingers. Remember the social distancing, at least a meter between you and the next person. Always wear your masks whenever you are outside. Until next time, have a great day.
What is social distancing? Hi everyone, I am Zoshi, and I'm back. It literally just means that you need to stay home all the time and keep away from crowded places. And remember to keep your distance from your friends too. Everybody stay safe. Yay! Till next time. Bye!
Beautiful souls, this is Nikita Winkler and I'm here to share easy tools for stretching that you can do just about anywhere. This is a demonstration, so what's most important is that you take the time in each position that your body needs to release its tension. In this session, we will stretch the hips. What you'll need are yoga blocks or books, thick books, or pillows, especially if you have tight hips. You can do this on a mat, on the floor, on a blanket, or even in your bed. Let's get started. So we're going to start on the floor with the soles of our feet together. I'm going to grab around the feet. This is a butterfly position. So in order to warm up the hips, I'm just going to flap the butterfly wings. And again, take your time. I'm going to lean forward, and here, again, if the hips are too tight, you can place your blocks, books, or pillows underneath. You might even feel a stretch in the back here. From this position, I'm going to take one arm right behind me, not too far from my body. The other arm, inhale, exhale, press the hip open. And come back to center. Change. One arm right behind me to lengthen the spine, the other hand on the knee. Inhale, exhale, press the hip open and back to center. Now we're going to lie down on the floor. And first, before I get started, I have to make sure that my body, my spine is in alignment. I'm going to just open up the neck area. And you can spend as much time as you need here, allowing the force of gravity to weigh on the legs to open up the hips. You can place your blocks, books, or pillows underneath the knees. And gradually, you can take the feet even further down and spend enough time in each position. From here, we're going to go into an internal hip rotation. I'm going to spread my feet to the side, lean the knees inwards. If you have a little bit more flexibility, you don't really feel the stretch, just take your feet even further apart to deepen this internal rotation stretch in your hips. From here, I'm just going to place my feet, and without repositioning the feet, I'm going to take my arms to the side, and then I'm just going to rock my legs side to side, keeping the upper body facing up, shoulders down. And then I'm going to stop on one side, take the lower leg over the upper to add weight, to deepen the stretch. Release the leg and switch. Other side, lower over the upper. And back to center. Last part, I'm going to spread my legs as wide open as I can, and I'm going to just row the boat. So what's important here is that the knees don't lift off the floor. Make sure you row both sides. Keep the knees and both bum cheeks on the floor. Alternatively, you can just lean forward. You can hang out on the pillow. Take your time on the blocks or on your books. And that is it. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to breathe into your stretches, and happy stretching.
Hello and welcome to the She Word, the show where we discuss trending topics amongst women across Africa.
Girl, 7 years old. Do you know why you're here?
In 1997, I was filmed by an American news crew at the place I was being held, a shrine run by a priest dedicated to the worship of deities. I was labeled a Trokoshi, a wife of the gods, paying for a crime committed by a family member.
The purpose of sharing my story was to say, you know, you may have gone through something, a traumatic experience. You are still able to have life. You have life. You can live life. You can contribute to society, and that's what it should be about. It's not more. It's not really about like victimizing or because I honestly don't like watching it.
On the Gold Coast of West Africa lies the peaceful and diverse nation of Ghana. I'm pretty close right now to the geographical center of the Earth. It is also one of the last pockets for elephants in the wilds of West Africa.
You know, every country in the world just about has cattle, sheep, goats, horses, donkeys, but it's only Africa that has the real megafauna, the charismatic stuff which people in the rest of the world want to see.
The passion that the staff have for the job
is value to a bird which brings birders to a place like this. I mean, this is a birding paradise. We see an intrinsic appreciation and joy from seeing the wildlife out here, but not everybody does.
You can't get to Mali and then will not be passionate about what we do, because you'll be the only one left. Everybody is passionate.
The only worthwhile war, the war against destruction, the war against loss, the war for peace, for balance, for inclusion.
It is out of my way. Buffaloes, elephants, tigers, atabi are still in existence.
If Mali fails, then Ghana is without wildlife.
Join me as we journey to the untamed wilderness of northern Ghana to meet these last defenders.
The people within the law enforcement agencies don't really know you're talking about a roan antelope. Somebody thinks it's just like a goat.